Oh, ho, ho. Hey, what's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, JFlood201, back with some reactions for you. Alright, this one is easy. This is easy money right here. Doing this one for my boy Chris, who's been asking me a little bit about this Milwaukee, Chicago thing with Lil Jeff. So it turns out that, yes, the Milwaukee-Chicago connection thing is real when it comes to Lil Jeff and the Bloodhounds, alright? Apparently he was doing some paid hits out there. Some paid hits out in Milwaukee territory. And also, trying to think, there's like an ongoing beef right now with Q50 and the other guys. I forget where they're from, but somewhere in like the Midwest / South. Memphis. Alright, I think they're, I don't fucking know. Detroit, there we go. Detroit, there we go. Alright, Detroit. So Detroit gangsters and the Bloodhounds have been beefing, and I think, my own detective work here, it's not confirmed, but I think it's all connected to these Chicago drills that we're going to go through in this video. We're reacting to Trap Daily. We're reacting to a Trap Daily video, so go to Trap Daily's page, give him a like, a follow, you know, if you enjoy the content. If you're here at my reaction channel, I do appreciate it. Please help run the numbers up. Tell your friends about it. If you like this type of content, share it, you know, to your Instagram or whatever. So we're just gonna jump right into this thing. So Bloodhound Lil Jeff was a really, really big deal rapper. He was one of the up-and-comers out of Chicago that was supposed to be the next generation of drill music after Chief Keef and Lil Durk and King Von and them. King Von passed away. Lil Durk is now in the feds. Chief Keef moved to LA and doesn't really do the same type of music anymore. So it had been the torch was, like, you know, passed, right? And this is the generation of Zoomers or Gen Zers, whatever you want to call them, that it was supposed to pass to. And it did. You know, there's some really good Lil Jeff music out there, in my opinion. That being said, he died on a drill. He died going to shoot up somebody's house. And he did. He was shooting at this person when the person's friend ran out of the house and started shooting back. And Lil Jeff's life was taken. Apparently, Lil Jeff killed as many as 18 people. I think there were something like 12 confirmed. You know, 11, 12 confirmed. He went into the double digits, so he definitely drilled more people than King Von. That's according to Reddit. It's also been said by, you know, people close to the Chicago Police Department that and the feds that they were building a case against Bloodhound Lil Jeff, and that if he never died, he would have been prosecuted for at least 2 of the murders that he allegedly took part of. So let's jump right into it. This is all of Bloodhound Lil Jeff's paid hits, because apparently he was getting money to crash out. Alright, it's JFlood201. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it.
What happens when Chicago's most feared crash dummies get hired to handle Milwaukee's problems? How does a disappointed basketball player become the center of allegations about multiple paid hits across state lines? Today, we're diving into the story of Bloodhound Lil Jeff, a name that strikes fear in the streets of both Chicago and Milwaukee. The internet is filled with rumors that this 21-year-old has allegedly been involved in up to 11 bodies, with several allegedly coming from paid hits in Milwaukee for local trappers who knew exactly what they were getting when they hired him.
Killed. Mook got killed because of Chevy, right? And the person that killed Mook, like I keep telling you, is Bloodhound Jeff from Chicago.
But here's what makes this story even crazier. One Milwaukee rapper...
Oh yeah, for all the people, yes, I picked up vaping again. It is a bad habit. I'm back into the gym. I don't know if you guys can tell. But we're back in the gym, alright? And so as a result, when this runs out, or maybe even tomorrow morning, it's going in the trash, okay? But definitely, when this one kicks, I'm not picking up another one. Mark my words, you won't see me vaping in another video. It's nicotine, don't worry. Alright, because we drug free here at 201, baby. Alright? Not like them old ways, okay? It's sober every day. Let's get into it.
Recently admitted Jeff was spinning, but claimed he didn't pay him anything.
All in Johnny Dang before I rap shit, that's to say enough. They got it wrong. Yellow Jeff was spinning, but I ain't paying nothing. Grab a rental, tell that bitch from front to back.
So who was paying? And why did Milwaukee trappers turn to Chicago killers instead of handling their own business? By the end of this video, you'll understand how drug money connected two cities' violence, how Milwaukee's gangsters use Chicago crash dummies as their personal hit squad, and the trail of bodies that allegedly followed. Stay tuned, because this gets dark. Before we talk about Milwaukee, we need to understand what bloodhounds were already doing in Chicago. Lil Jeff and his partner Q50 weren't just random street dudes. They were allegedly already building a reputation as killers in their own city. Born and raised on Chicago's east side, Jeff grew up in the drill era that glorified violence. But unlike many who just rapped about it, Jeff and Q50 were allegedly living.
I just kept seeing your name all over the place, bro. Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Bloodhound Lil Jeff. I didn't know you was from Chicago. I thought you was some. Originally I thought you were a UK drill artist.
UK is a dumbass shit. I tell you, fuck.
You wanna know? I'm gonna tell you right now why I thought you was from the UK. Cause they said Bloodhound Lil Jeff got 10 bodies.
Jeff's path to violence wasn't immediate. He actually had dreams outside the streets.
So I wonder what you was doing at 16.
I was 16. Around that time,
you was doing the soldier boy.
I was trying to play basketball, but that's around the time I ain't make the varsity team. So at 16 was when I was realizing this shit real. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
That rejection from the varsity basketball team became a turning point. Within 2 years, Jeff was allegedly deep in Chicago's most violent crew. His older brother introduced him to street life.
So can you tell us, like, who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
Your older brother, right?
Yeah.
But Jeff also experienced trauma that shaped his mindset.
My crib got shot up when I was like 14. I was some stupid ass shit. The bullet, that bitch flew like right past my face. They had shot the back and the front, then they blew the car and set that bitch on fire.
By 18, Jeff was allegedly part of the Bloodhounds, and him and Q50 were reportedly catching bodies in Chicago before anyone in Milwaukee even knew their names. Here's where the story gets interesting. The Bloodhounds weren't just killers. Their big homies were major drug dealers with connections reaching far beyond Chicago. These connections are what linked Chicago's Bloodhounds to Milwaukee's street scene. When you're moving serious weight, you need serious protection and serious consequences for those who interfere with business. According to street sources, Milwaukee trappers were already locked in with Bloodhound big homies through drug networks. This wasn't some random connection. This was business.
Allegedly, his sixth time doing some shit, it was some Milwaukee shit again, you know, that he was once again paid for. I guess it's some people in Milwaukee that's connected to the Bloodhounds. However they connected, they tied in with the Bloodhounds in Chicago, and they know Shorty them. I mean, for them in Milwaukee, they get wild too. So it's like, it's not like they needed Bloodhound them to do this shit. Like, they probably could have did the shit themselves, but I guess they call themselves being smart or whatever. Like, all right, we ain't gonna get, you know, if Shorty them gonna do it for us, we ain't gonna get our hands dirty.
Milwaukee gangsters recognized Jeff and Q50 as crash dummies, willing to do anything for money. Q50 admitted it in a video clip.
I'm in love with taking exchange. 10 years like a blind man walking. And then maybe a dog named Kane. Me and Jeff like yesterday. Step back to a nigga like big flame. Niggas know I got fights from state to state. And then me on top niggas for the pay.
They saw an opportunity to outsource their violence while keeping their own hands clean.
They needed Bloodhound them to do this shit. Like, they probably could have did the shit themselves, but I guess they call themselves being smart or whatever. Like, all right, we ain't gonna get it. You know, if Shorty them gonna do it for us, we ain't gonna get our hands dirty. And we got the money, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, we just gonna pay Shorty them. They getting wild. I ain't gonna lie, fool. Like, you know, they really was sending Bloodhound them off. You know, they really, you know, was treating them like the crash dummies that they is, fool. Like, man, y'all let Shorty them crazy. They some crash dummies. They some send-off. They some send-off artists. And we got money, and they wouldn't do this shit. We just gonna pay them to do it, you know? So, Lil Jeff alleged 6 times doing some shit. He was paid again by folding them in Milwaukee.
Once Milwaukee trappers realized they had access to Chicago killers, the alleged hits started piling up. According to street rumors, Jeff's first alleged paid hit in Milwaukee was a triple homicide that shocked the city. On March 27, 2022, 3 men were found shot execution style in their apartment.
The case involving 3 men shot and killed execution style at an apartment in Milwaukee is still unsolved. 2 of the victims were brothers.
What? Triple homicide for his first? That's wild, bro. I wonder how much they pay for something like that.
Detectives say it's going to take the whole community to get this killer off the streets.
They ain't no more pain. They ain't gonna hurt no more.
On March 28th, a day after the triple shooting, droves of people came out to remember the 3 men killed: Anthony Thompson, Tyrese McKinney, Clarence Harris.
When are we gonna stop? When are we gonna love?
The day before this vigil, family members of one of the men called police when they hadn't heard from him. Milwaukee police detectives say they went to the apartment at 54th and Mill Road.
When they got there, they found that the door was ajar to the apartment. And when they entered the apartment, they found that there were 3 adult males that were all deceased of gunshot wounds.
Detective Tim Keller says they believe it happened around 2 in the morning while people were sleeping, which makes what they know about this case limited.
At least one of the victims that resided at the residence where this occurred was engaged in drug dealing from that residence. And that's potentially the motive for this. People sometimes are hesitant to tell us what type of activities their loved one was involved in that could have led to their death. It really does not matter to us other than potentially figuring out a motive. We don't work any less hard on a case just because someone was engaged in drug dealing prior to being killed. We need that information to come forward, and no matter what the information is, if someone in the community knows who is responsible for this.
Anthony Thompson, known as Big Juice, Tyrese McKinney, and 52-year-old Clarence Harris.
Yo, that's crazy, bro.
Anthony Thompson was connected.
I want to say some shit right now, but I'm not going to, bro. But you could just tell.
To Milwaukee's rap scene and had appeared in the Eastside Cypher video. His death sent shockwaves through the community. One blogger explains the alleged bloodhound involvement.
Lil Jeff first time doing some shit was in Milwaukee, where he was paid to, you know, he was like, they damn near paid him to do a hit on a house full of people. It was 3 people in the house, and Lil Jeff and his bloodhound homies was paid to go up in the house and get everybody up out of there. Like, everybody who up in there, just take everybody out. So, you know, according to Lil Jeff, his people and other sources, like, that was Lil Jeff first time doing some shit, and his homies, that was their first time doing some shit. So the first time they did some shit, you know, they caught 3 bodies the first time they ever did some shit.
No arrests were ever made in this case. The next alleged hit involved 18-year-old Clifton Moo Pate Jr., who was killed on September 4, 2023, while sitting inside a vehicle near 58th and Fairmont on Milwaukee's west side. The killing was allegedly retaliation for the death of someone called Chevy. Milwaukee street sources claim this was another paid hit.
Milwaukee. So I want to talk about the truth about Milwaukee, right? Because I don't got no valid truth that happened, but I got valid truth that what happened was this, right? When Mook got killed because of Chevy, right?
However, there's debate about which bloodhound was responsible.
That's what everybody want to know, right? Because everybody thought the old man put the belt on Chevy, right? But it's rumored that Mook allegedly put the belt to Chevy, and he got the belt put to him. So you saying the stories about Mook is a lie, but the stories about Chevy is real, or the stories about Chevy is a lie too?
No, it's 50-50 on both of them. Like, some of that mixed, like some of that made up, some of that real.
Listen, Chevy, before Chevy died, Chevy called a homie a week before he died, right? Chevy clapped somebody a week before he died.
That's some of the part that's
I got proof. I got proof. So how you gonna tell me this not no killer? He's a real killer.
This disagreement shows how the Bloodhounds operated as a unit, making it difficult to determine individual responsibility. Here's where we get confirmation that Milwaukee rappers knew exactly what they were dealing with. In the song Bloody Tears, Milwaukee rapper Cracks admits this.
All in Johnny Dang before I rap shit, that's to say enough. They got it wrong. Yellow Jeff was spinning, but I ain't paying nothing.
This line is crucial. because it confirms that 1. Jeff was indeed spinning in Milwaukee. 2. Multiple people were allegedly paying him. 3. Even those connected to the violence were willing to admit Jeff was active. The fact that Cracks felt the need to distance himself from paying Jeff suggests there were others who were paying him for hits. There's actual footage of Jeff in Milwaukee clubs showing he wasn't just making quick trips for hits. He was embedded in the scene.
You know, it's a clip of Lil Jeff going around right now, and they saying that, you know, it's a clip of Lil Jeff out at the club with.
One source describes what they saw in the footage.
And they saying that, you know, it's a clip of Lil Jeff out at the club with a few of his bloodhounds and some of they Milwaukee people. You know, Lil Jeff's dropping the rakes and shit like that. Shorty look young as hell, bro. Like a straight, like, still wet behind the ears, all type of shit. Like, he died at 21, so in this video, he had to be like 19 or some shit like that, you know? They just using his little ass, bro, paying him crumbs, and he doing all the dirt. Lil Jeff and his homies, they doing all the dirt, and Shorty phoning them in Milwaukee, paying them crumbs to do this shit.
The relationship between Milwaukee trappers and Chicago bloodhounds was purely transactional. Milwaukee had the money, Chicago had the killers willing to travel.
They was using Shorty. Phoning them in Milwaukee, they ass was using Shorty. They were, you know, they had the money, and it's like, the bloodhounds was doing all their dirty work, you know, they was using them, you know?
But the source makes an important point about the bloodhounds' willingness.
I mean, the bloodhounds wanted to be used, though. I don't want to make it seem like it's they was taking advantage of them type situation, because it's like, if that's the case, folks them wanted to be taken advantage. They wanted to be taken advantage of. They wanted to be used, like, you know, they ass willing to crash, and folks them willing to pay them to crash. They crashing for free. They doing this shit for free. So it's like, shit, if they can get paid for it, they looking at the situation like, shit, it's a win-win. We already willing to do this shit for nothing.
Jeff's alleged activities in Milwaukee didn't go unnoticed. When he was eventually killed in Chicago.
That's a wild statement too, that like, they're already crashing out, they're already willing to do this stuff for nothing, so why not make a few bucks? Like, dang, that really puts into perspective how desperate a lot of these guys are to make it out of their situation or to get notoriety, because I think that what they're underplaying too is the idea that, like, in a place like Chicago, you catch a couple hats, you get a couple bodies, your respect level, it's like your experience bar goes up, you know what I mean? Like, I hate to use, like, you know, video game analogies, but like, you just leveled up, you know what I mean? You leveled up. Your character's more experienced now. It's a sick, sad world, bro. But like, you're gonna get notoriety. You're gonna get more opportunities to do things like home invasions and robberies, or to meet bigger plugs or whatever it is. Like, if you're in that world, you're gonna get more opportunities by climbing that ladder. And so that's what they were doing, like, you know?
Chicago, Milwaukee figures posted about it, including references to specific dates that allegedly corresponded to hits. The posts referenced the day he caught a hate, street terminology that could refer to when someone committed a significant act of violence that created enemies. While Jeff never directly admitted to Milwaukee's hits in interviews, there are moments where his statements take on new meaning given these allegations. When asked about his reputation, Jeff responds,
Okay, so you got this reputation, man. You got this crazy reputation. Feel me? How do you move through Chicago? Do you feel like you probably got a target on your back?
Hell nah, these niggas scared, man. I'm outside every day, they ass ducking. I never see people on live dropping my low, showing their ass where I'm at.
We be outside every day.
I be from up everywhere you could think of.
When discussing his lifestyle and what he's known for,
Bloodhound Lil Jeff want to get across to the people. Like, who is Bloodhound Lil Jeff and why is he so popular right now?
I'm a nigga that y'all need to stay out my way. When y'all see me, don't even say shit to me, cause I don't know what the you might be on. There's too much shit going on out here. I don't know what your intentions is. So I'm ready to tell y'all, and stay out my way, cause I gotta tell the people, man. Cause the people be on bullshit. See, they saying all this up shit. They got your head with that shit. That shit. Look. y'all, man. Fuck y'all.
These
This is such an iconic interview. Like, everybody references this interview with him because I think in this one, this is the one where he like crushes up a perk and snorts it, and it had to be like a perk 10, you know, which is wild because that means they're snorting acetaminophen, but it also means that they were trying to be smart because like once you step up to snorting 30s, you're basically, it's just a matter of time before you become a dope head. And like recently, like Q50 was going viral because he woke up one day and said, "Who got food?" And it's like, food is slang for dog food. Dog food is slang for heroin. Heroin. There is no heroin anymore. I mean, I don't know about in Chicago, but you know, up here northeast, there is no heroin anymore. It's all fentanyl. So he's off that fetty, bro. Like he really is a drug addict at this point. I mean, I'm sure he's still making music, but you know. From what I can see on his socials and his behavior and stuff like that, he's a drug addict at this point. He's more a drug addict than he is a musician. He's more a drug addict than he is a gangster. And that's like the most dangerous place because he's going to run out of money or something's going to happen. He's going to lose his plug or he's not going to be able to cop. He's going to go start getting sick and he's going to do something crazy. So, like, prayers for Q50. I hope he figures this shit out. R.I.P. Lil Jeff. Not sure who this guy is. Not gonna hold you. He's probably a member of Bloodhound. I just, you know, it's crazy. This is a dark video. Like I didn't quite realize just how dark this content was, but I should have ahead of time realized that this is like really sick stuff. Like getting paid to commit hits. And you're doing it in such impoverished and already like underfunded communities where there's such a level of violence that the police are it's so racially divided in the sense that, you know, like there's no police in Milwaukee in these areas that are going to be able to understand that this drill culture and these connections in a timely manner to be able to prosecute these crimes, which is why so much of these people get away with it. Like when you look at the King Von case, right? King Von was able to get away with a lot, even though he was like on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, like essentially admitting to doing crimes because the streets are so interconnected and there's such a level of violence in the black community, and the police in general are so not tapped into the neighborhood and the community because the neighborhood and the community doesn't trust the police, that you can become a serial killer and fly under the radar and pretty much operate in like a 8-mile, 10-mile, 15-mile radius. The cops are still not going to be able to connect the dots because there's so many like overlapping crime. There's such overlapping crime. So it's a really interesting thing from like a crime like podcaster or like a crime reaction channel, like from my perspective, and also from somebody who like kind of understands like, you know, not being a member of this community. Like I'm white, I have a college degree, you know, the few times I've been to jail, it wasn't for lengthy periods of time, you know. So yes, I've been to jail. Yes, I understand what it's like. I know what it's like to debate if you're going to fight your case or, you know, if you're going to plead out, like all that stuff. So I get it, but it's just such a different environment in a place like Chicago that what baffles my mind compared to like communities up here is like, if you operate at that level for that length of time, it doesn't matter if it's NJPD, LAPD, PAPD, right? Like Pennsylvania state troopers are going to figure it out and come get your ass. You know, it's a little more muddy in Philly, right? Because they kind of deal with the same issues that I'm talking about. But it doesn't matter if it's going down. Even you look at Newark, right? Doesn't matter. NJPD is going to figure it out. They're going to create a task force. They're going to come and get your butt. Same with NYPD. You can't operate at that level that like Bloodhound or King Von was doing. You can't do that many drills. You can't kill that many people, get away with it, and then spend years even if it's only 2 or 3 years, out on the street. That's what these guys were into. That's what the reality of their existence was like. But in Chicago, you can do that. You can do that. And that's terrifying, man.
These statements, while not admissions, paint a picture of someone who believes his reputation for violence precedes him. The alleged connection between Bloodhound Lil Jeff and Milwaukee hits represents something larger, the nationalization of street violence through drug networks. When local trappers have enough money and connections to import killers from other cities, it changes the entire dynamic of street beef. It makes violence harder to investigate, creates jurisdictional complications for law enforcement, and allows those ordering hits to maintain distance from the actual violence.
Bloodhound, Vaughn, Melly, Mad Max from No Limit. These just the people that's not here no more that was running around that need to be put down. But there's still a lot of other shorties that's, you know, coming up under the, like this the Lil Jeff generation. Shorty like the King Von generation. Like, it's crazy. It's like levels to this shit. Like at first it was folk them that was coming under Vaughn, they wanted to be like Vaughn. Nowadays, shorting them, they want to be like Lil Jeff, bro.
On Lil Jeff and the alleged Milwaukee hits shows how modern street violence has evolved beyond neighborhood beefs into interstate criminal enterprises. What started as Chicago crash dummies looking for quick money allegedly became a pattern of paid violence that connected two cities' street scenes in the most tragic way possible. Whether Jeff was actually responsible for all the hits attributed to him may never be conclusively proven. What's clear is that Milwaukee trappers believed they could outsource their violence to Chicago killers, and that belief allegedly cost multiple people their lives. As one Milwaukee figure put it, the full truth remains buried in street code, unsolved cases, and the complex web of money and violence that connects America's most dangerous neighborhoods. But the allegations surrounding Lil Jeff serve as a stark reminder of how far some will go when cash means crash dummies. If you found it,
that's crazy. Yo, that was a great little end synopsis there. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, and go check out Trap Daily. We just subscribed to the page. We're gonna give them a thumbs up. Alright, that's it for me, man. That's a crazy video, bro. That, like, this is really, he said it. It's now like we're getting to that level where it's similar to other places. What comes to mind is like Europe, places like the UK and like Ireland. You know, the UK will outsource some of its crime to Ireland. Ireland will outsource some of its crime to the UK with the Kavanaugh clan. Same with like Spain being the main import. Spain, the Netherlands, right? Like, these are places where designer drugs, and then for Spain, like marijuana, cocaine, heroin, right? That stuff comes up in through Spain and then filters in and kind of like cascades across the rest of Europe. It's a similar situation here in the U.S. where it's coming in from different locations, but it's essentially coming in from South and Central America, primarily through Mexico, right? And so places like Chicago is a big hub. Houston is a big hub. You know, these are, you know, you're starting to see gangs pop up in Arizona, and like, you know, New Mexico. You know, all these places that are close to the border have important value, and then they filter into these communities where you've got suburbanites that are probably close to Milwaukee that'll go into the hood, places probably similar like Newark. You know, you got Bergen County people that need their drugs that will drive to Patterson or Newark to go and cop their drugs. With Philly, you got suburban people that need their drugs that will drive into Philly to go and cop. Maryland suburb people that need their drugs will drive into Baltimore to go and cop. And that creates that market, and it's now expanding into, like, if I'm from Baltimore and I need something taken care of, I'm gonna tap in with anybody that I know in the Philly area to outsource the violence. You watch it here with Milwaukee and Chicago, and you know, the United States is such a big place that I think you're gonna see more of this as fentanyl and cartel culture maintains its hold on the drug trade. and especially now, like with the deportation of immigrants and the kind of like fear that puts into, this is probably a great time to operate, right? To be someone who knows a Pablo or a Diego and gets the supply and then breaks it down in their neighborhood and filters it into these suburbs where the customers are. It's a wild food chain, the drug trade in the United States. But anyway, that's it for me and my reaction. It's JFlood201. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Instagram. Stay tuned. I am going to be trying to do more long content where I record and edit, and I'm also going to eventually try to create some more workout shorts to post here on the YouTube channel. And shout out to, you know, not on good terms with her anymore, but the person who helped create my banner artwork, my logo, and all that stuff. Eventually I'm gonna have to change that, right? Probably keep the banner, but you know, all that stuff, it will get updated eventually. But thank you, and you know, it's dope. So whatever I do make is definitely going to be heavily influenced by this round. And if you do like the banner, like the artwork and stuff like that, leave a comment, man. If you know someone who does that stuff, you know, DM me, email me. There's ways to contact me on the YouTube page if you go to the information or the bio. All right, guys. See you later.